My name is Bobi Harris. I'm employed by the Outreach Interpretation Program. My main focus is the original Governor's Mansion and the life there. And as such, I get the privilege of showing a lot of school kids around the mansion, which made me realize how so many of us have memories that are not known to the children. For instance, when I get up to one of the rooms, there's a nice little dollhouse, and there is a kitchen and a bathroom and a living room and some bedrooms, but there's no laundry room. However, there is a clothespin up there. So I got a clothespin doll in that dollhouse, and when I got the clothespin doll out and talked to them about that it's recycled from a clothespin, I kept getting blank looks. When finally the children said, "What is a clothespin?" Oh dear. So I brought one so I could show them what a clothespin was, and I thought my job was done. The next question was, what do you do with it? So it made me realize that our laundry days of the past are something that are interesting to the young generation and something foreign to them, and I want to capture all those memories. Now when we do a laundry day research, we have a little bit of trouble finding information. Most photographs don't have laundry in them, and most diaries and all that, they don't always mention the laundry. So we have to do quite a lot of digging. So I thought I'd make future generations have an easier time at this by collecting all your memories in a special file here at Montana Historical Society. So I really appreciate for all of you to write your memories down. And that paper I'll hand it out to you, either now or later. One lady sent me 2 pages of her laundry day reminiscences that we're very glad to have here at the Historical Society. I've got a photograph up there on the wall. Happens to be my father-in-law. It was in the paper. Some of you may have seen it. But I thought it was interesting. This is about 1928. And there's Billy Joe with his wagon. And what's the main focus of the photograph? The laundry's back there, but who were they taking a picture of? The little boy. So it's just by chance that we see in the background of some photographs laundry. And I did hand out a test page for you all. There's a few questions on there. If you fill them all out properly, I'll give you a little clue right now. You're probably over 60 if you get 100%. But one of the questions was, what day of the week is this? Now, I was hanging up the days of the week towels and realized I needed to take my clue down because it would give you the answer. What day was that? Monday? Somebody asked me the other day why we all did our laundry on the same day. What would be your answer? If somebody asked you why housewives did their laundry on the same day, why did we?
It's a conspiracy.
A conspiracy.
It was the day all the kids went to school and Dad went to work, and all the dirty laundry for the week after the weekend.
But this is a question that people in the future may be asking us too, and we may be gone by then. Hopefully we'll have long turns here. But so we need to record that. Why did we do it always on Monday? What's your answer?
Saturday night bath.
Saturday night bath. We certainly were pretty regimented back then. Kept us organized and on track. And for me, the next day was ironing day. I got to do the pillowcases. I was fired from doing my father's shirts, business shirts. But on wash day, Mondays were fun when you were home because all the ladies came out of their houses to hang their laundry up and have a nice long chat. And if you sat underneath the sheets as they were drying, you could hear some pretty interesting gossip from those ladies. So that might be another reason why we did it together, so we all had a chance to talk at the same time. There was often a little bit of a contest of whose laundry would be on the line first. See how industrious you were. Have you ever heard some expressions like, hang your dirty laundry?
Yeah.
Well, when you looked at people's clotheslines back in those days, you could learn a lot about the housewife and the family and what was going on. There's a clothespin poem over there, clothesline poem, and it says some things about if you could tell if your neighbor was sick, because there might be a lot of more sheets hanging on the line and towels, and you could tell when their company was coming. The best laundry might be hanging out. If there was a new baby born, you see a lot of diapers. So you could tell a lot about laundry. And there were rules about how to hang out the wash. But first, let's go back to the first thing you had to do to get that laundry on the line, is do the wash. This was my grandmother's Grandmother's boiler. Did anybody of you guys in the audience have to use a boiler at any time? Because I didn't ask Grandma a lot of questions, so if you know anything about the boiler, I'd appreciate your information. What's your memories on the boiler? Would you mind sharing today? I knew it was long and skinny, so it could stretch across 2 burners. And boiling your clothes sometimes was the only way to get them really clean. Must have been hot, steamy work. This one comes complete with an agitator. It couldn't have been that unpleasant because Grandma saved this boiler and she wouldn't give it up for anything. So. In the photograph, you see 2 laundry tubs laying to dry. These aren't the same ones, but they certainly were similar. So this was a nice day. You could tell it's May because of the lilacs, and it might be in the morning because he's pretty well bundled up in our May morning. Sometimes we do need to wear a sweater on there. So we got some clues in those pictures.
Was that a Helena picture?
It is, and I still live in that house, and I still hang my laundry out. I don't use the boiler, though. But maybe some of you can explain exactly how to use one, and maybe I can catch up with you. The first thing you needed besides the water, and you usually need at least 2 tubs. And one of the questions was, what order do you do your laundry in? Can you turn to that test question over there? And you might want to put that up front. What's the first question? All right. You already figured that one out, so everybody should get 100% on that question number 1. 2, what order did you do the laundry? And it's kind of a little question. What would you wash first? We're already losing some of that information, are we? So good thing you're saving this. Another thing, at the original Governor's Mansion, a lot of memories are coming from the children's perspective and not the parents any longer. So I'm kind of in a hurry to capture all those things. The trick question about the hankies. If you had a sick member of the family, you might wash those separately so you don't spread the germs around. But your underwears or your smalls and your white objects, you'd probably wash those in the water first. Because why? Does anybody know that? Remember?
They're white.
They're white, and how many tubs of water did you have to fill? Lots, but you'd prefer having one so your white clothes could maybe not have as much dirt in the water for the next load, reusing it. So what would you wash next? Maybe the men's shirts. And then last, the dirty old overalls. Pretty grubby water. And then what do you do after you swish them around in here and maybe use your agitator? What would be the next step? Rinse them. And to get them in there, the old wringer. Have you ever heard anybody say, I feel like I've been through the wringer? How did they know how horrible that would be, how horrible you'd feel? Yes?
My mom, in the 50s, she had a wringer on the old washing machine.
She still used them. She caught her hand in it? Oh my gosh.
You always kept your hair back.
Kept your hair back. I have met people whose pigtails went in there. What about the buttons on the shirt through the wringer and the zippers?
Fold them inside.
Fold them inside to cushion them a little bit. If you didn't know how to do that, you'd be spending the next day sewing buttons back on.
That would be on Wednesday.
That would be on Wednesday. Because let's see, Wednesday was sewing day. My grandmother's washboard, I guess she didn't have a lot of hope in the automatic washing machine. She finally got it in about 1960 because she saved her washboard.
It's a glass.
This is a glass one, which I appreciated because my other grandmother's metal one kind of fell apart on me. I saved the pieces, though. Anybody know anything about bluing? I don't know a whole lot about bluing. I know you can still buy bluing. And this bottle says it even makes white hair on yourself or white pets. A blue ribbon winner for your pets. So if you haven't tried that yet, try it on your dog first. You hear that? So these are the little things that we're losing because they're not in the history book. So that was fun to hear.
I put it on the tail, the white tail of my 4-H calf. Oh. Get it ready for the fair.
Has anybody had any experience with Fell's naphtha?
Yes,
Oh, good. Because I don't. I have some unopened boxes, but I don't know how to use
Oh,
it.
it's great for taking spots out.
Do you use the whole bar?
I have a little container that I keep it in, and before I use it, I let the felt napkin soak in the container for a while, and then put it on its spot.
The water part?
The whole
The whole bar, kind of like
Yeah.
a stain
Rub it
stick.
in a little bit. I've never ruined anything with that, and it really takes spots out, and they last forever.
Well, where do you buy it now?
Grocery store.
Really?
I thought, didn't you have some that used to grate? Did you use to grate?
Does anybody know the story of how they made liquid soap?
Lye.
I've heard those stories, but I've heard they've also grated this or shaved it into a coffee can, added some water, and put it on the back of the stove to warm, and voila, you had your liquid soap.
Because I remember grating. They used to make soap, we used to save our bacon grease during the war, and then a neighbor made it, I think you put ashes and lye.
Yeah, my mother made lye soap.
Yeah, we always had to save our bacon grease.
So no wonder women's careers were being a housewife. It sounds like a lot of work. You have to start making your own soap. Yes?
I use felt naphtha when my boys played football. They had white pants, and you took felt naphtha, and that's how you got grass stain. Yep, nothing else worked.
I guess we're all gonna be down there buying Phil's.
So you buy it like at Safeway, is that what you're saying? Yeah, stores. Wow.
And what did you say for soap? For your soap?
Bacon grease.
Okay.
And then, I don't know.
Ashes and lye.
Yeah, ashes and then.
That's what my mother, I used to watch her make it when I was little in her basement. And I couldn't stand the smell. It was so powerful, it helped knock you over. And she made it because she came from the Depression era, the 1920s. And that's when the war, and they had to worry about conserving. And she continued, and I was born in 1948, so you can imagine that she's still making lye soap that late.
Yeah, our neighbor was.
And she said it was the best soap.
Well, I was looking around for about washing information, and about 1861, ringers were patented. Sometimes when you're trying to find out when things began, you can look through the patent office. In 1851, there was a hand-powered washing machine fixed up. 1908, the first electric one was done. 1915, it became automatic. But by 1955, only 10% of the households were using them. And they cost about $230 in 1955. Does any of you remember getting your first automatic washing machine? So it wasn't all that long ago? Do you have a memory of that?
Consider a roll, what do you call those machines that have that? A ringer washer?
Ringer washer.
A ringer washer, do you consider that an automatic? Because Mom had an electric one, but it was still a ringer washer.
Oh,
Yeah, my mom had one too.
kind of like that?
A little more fancy than that.
It was a white tub. Yeah. Had a white tub, just like a washing machine tub, and then it had the wringer attached. I remember that.
My mom used an electric motor, no, a gas motor to start the washing machine
Yeah.
in Nebraska.
My mom's was electric.
It was a gas motor.
Oh, I've seen pictures of those.
Well, my grandmother dug a hole in her dirt floor basement, they were really cellars, so that she could drain the tubs into the hole and it would gradually absorb into the ground because there was no drain pipes down in the basement. We filled in the hole since.
She didn't have to pack it out.
And she didn't have to pack it up the stairs and out again.
Idea.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My grandmother used the ringer part when she was doing all of her garden work. She would pod her peas to the ringer. And they
Oh.
in the washer.
Wow. Have any of you heard that used for a ringer? To shell your peas? The peas would stay behind in the washing part of it, and the peels all went into the rinse. How much did that cost back in about 1900? $6. $6. You know, the funny thing was, but when I bought that ringer in 1882, that was $6. If you didn't have enough cash back then, you could just pay $2 a month for a month, 3 months and a quarter. The 1900 gravity washer cost the company, and they made sure we knew it, $50,000 to make that washing machine, to get that invention going. And then it was very happy about it. If you want more of the expressions of how they use it, we've got it recorded here on this old magazine. There it is again. It costs $14 a month. And again, now at the bottom of the page, they're bragging about how much money it cost them to get that going. They really want us housewives to appreciate how much work they went through for us to make our laundry day easier. $2 a month for 8 months. Get $14 paid for. Do you guys believe that? Now there's Friends of the Society and Glenn's granddaughter with their old family washer. You see they maybe not completely trusting the new automatics too. They got a Plan B out in the shed.
They used it. Have they used it?
They have used it. Ann grew up using it. She remembers turning that crank over there. You put that agitator inside, saving you that big plunger I had over in Grandma's boiler. So things got a little bit easier, but not that long ago. Yes?
Mom said that they did the wash inside in the winter. And so or in the hot summer, they would do it under a shed too. So this could have even been like winter time. It was nasty outside.
Getting water for your tubs could be a lot of work, especially if you lived in some of the dry lands in Montana. You might have to send the kids with the wagon and the horse as far as the water was and haul it back in big barrels. A lot of kids remember going through all that work, pulling it out of the creek beds. So it was pretty tough. And heating it, probably in the old boiler, right? Would you wash the clothes in there then? You couldn't really dump that out into your wash tub, could you? Does anybody know that? See the things that we're losing? Yes?
We didn't have a boiler, but I grew up in Minnesota, and we only had cold water in our house. My mom would take the wash tub. We filled the whole gas little stove on top, and we heated the water, and we just dipped it into the wringer wash machine.
You transferred it.
And we did that until we finally got hot water in late 50s. Hot water here.
Either that or into the bathtub. Take that. Yeah.
Our Friends of Society, Lucille Balfour, wrote that in those days when washing was so tough, you didn't change your clothes as often as you changed your mind. Didn't want to make too much laundry. So the washing gets done, and then it gets hung on the line, but first they separate their laundry. Things that are going to hang on the line, and when you take them off the line, you want to make sure you get the ones off that are going to go into the ironing basket for the next day work. If you hung them properly, you didn't have too much ironing to do, and especially if there's a nice breeze blowing, it could blow some of the wrinkles out. Question number 3 under drying, what is the correct way to hang up a shirt on a clothesline? We've got some examples over there, number 1 and number 2. 2? Everybody's voting for number 2? Guess what, when I ask the young people which way, guess which one they pick?
1.
Number 1. And why do we hang them upside down?
Well, you don't want marks on your shoulders to be visible and the bumps that it would create. That's ironing. If you hang it from the bottom, it's usually tucked in to your pants, and then that way you wouldn't have
So
to.
not only did you look nice, but you had less work for the iron.
But first you have to snap.
Them. I didn't see that in any other direction.
You have?
Yeah.
I still do that.
Have any of you had the experience of having one of these little aprons with your clothespins in it? Or you could get one that hung on the line, and it could move down the line with you as you went along?
Bobby, one thing to ask is how many of us still hang clothes out on the line?
Yeah. Well, in the information about the gravity washer that was patented about in 1900, one of the advantages of the washing machine was that there was no rubbing and wearing out of your clothes. So we got rid of the rubbing and wear and tear of our clothes in the washing machines, but what about the dryers? What's this in there? The lint. And what did the lint used to be? Your clothes. So we don't have everything bug-free yet. In 1799, somebody came up with an idea of a cranked barrel that they would use in front of their open hearth fireplace. 1892, we found a patent for one that was heated by the stove instead of your fireplace. And in 1915, 1938, different electric patents got done on an electric washing machine. But it was a while before a lot of people got it. You think about 1940 when they may have first been hitting the market. It might be a while before somebody could afford one. And of course, that probably wasn't something you needed to have to buy if you're used to drying your clothes. If you were in an apartment building 3 or 4 or 5 stories up, how did you dry your clothes? You hung them out the window on a pulley system, which we have an example of in our new domestic economy exhibit. Boy, you wouldn't want to drop anything. Make sure you use your good clothespins.
My mother's first electric washer was like in the 1940s, but it was a combination washer and dishwasher.
I saw one of those once in an old sink.
Well, my mother always considered herself, classy. Also, I remember that machine just walking across the floor.
I've heard stories about that. When you loaded the washing machine, you had to put the clothes in just right to keep it balanced so it wouldn't. So we have clothespins. Now in a pinch, I have made a clothespin like this. Here's one. I'll pass this one around, a homemade clothespin. You had to put a wire over it to keep the wood from splitting up. But I was camping with somebody one time and we needed to hang clothes up and hadn't brought any clothespins with us. So if you cut a piece of willow, you could split it like this. Maybe use your modern day duct tape to keep it from splitting all the way. But you could get a makeshift clothespin in it. So here's one, and here's one of my grandmothers, and they put wire on there just in case to keep those lasting a little bit longer. The spring-type clothespins were invented a long time ago. Here's an early one.
My mom just said they make dolls out of it.
We make dolls. I had toy soldiers. My daughters came home with a reindeer out of clothespins. They played with clothespins quite a bit, and I'm looking for my milk bottle. Anybody see a milk bottle up here? I bet you I forgot to bring it.
Oh, the game?
The game! All you have to do is say milk bottle and clothespin equals.
That's right, you dropped them in, yeah.
For your birthday parties, your mom set the milk bottle on the floor. I thought that was a pretty hard game. How many clothespins could you get in that little neck of that milk bottle?
And I told my daughter about that, so that my granddaughters play this game with their friends now at birthday parties.
Where did they get their milk bottle?
Well, the milk was delivered.
Yeah.
So another aspect of our domestic economy life that's the kids are forgetting about. So we have another test question under ironing. How does a soda bottle help with the ironing?
You run a cap with holes on it and put water and you sprinkle it on your clothes.
Yeah, I used to have a top, yeah, there it is.
This was Grandma. She kept it. Steam irons weren't invented yet. Now, who's got the test paper that's got a colored picture on it? Everybody's got black and white pictures like this. There should be one out there that's colored. You're the lucky winner. You get to demonstrate sprinkling the clothes. Did you used to do it?
My mother just would put in a bowl of water and sprinkle with her hand.
All right, we might need the table. There's your laundry. There's a little surface, because I think you needed a table to do this on sometimes, or did you not? See, that's another thing I don't quite remember.
And my brother, we all had to iron our own clothes. My brother didn't, so he paid us a nickel. He's in his 60s and he still hasn't paid us all the money.
And why did we sprinkle?
Well,
Steam irons weren't invented till about 1950. Permanent press. I've got a question I'm curious about, you guys. What's your first memory of permanent press getting, this is just a guess, invented? When do you first remember hearing about permanent press? Oh my goodness, you're sprinkling as you fold. You really need to get it really wet, huh?
Because all your clothes, you fold it up like this, and you had a basket full of things ready to go, and you just grab them out of the basket.
put them in the freezer in the
Here we go.
We didn't have a freezer.
And you sprinkled it one more time?
We have all the clothes piled in there.
Now, I heard that out here in Montana, people often had a oilcloth cover for their sprinkling baskets to help keep them damp, and even covered them to help them mellow and get thoroughly wet.
You had to get done, because you wanted to get your ironing done, so you'd go outside and play.
Really?
Want me to do more? But
Oh,
okay.
that's okay. I won't make you work too hard, because I hear you charge a nickel for your services, right?
I'm still waiting.